Good morning. Look how festive our studios are celebrating the season. Part of what makes this the most wonderful time of the year for so many of us, I guess, is the fun that we get to have getting together with friends and family to make new memories, relive some old ones. But maybe you've noticed as those family get-togethers grow, when many members of the family are around, you might notice your grandparents, some aunts and uncles struggling a bit with their hearing. It's very normal, very common, but a lot of us still question, what do we do about it and how do we broach the conversation? So this morning, we have help for you. Dr. Tiffany Ahlberg is playing Santa's helper. She has Ahlberg Audiology up in Cleveland. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too, Julie.
It is a common thing. It's just like when you hit your 40s, you're going to need to get reading glasses. When you turn 12 months old, you're going to learn to walk. And at some point, most of us have a problem with our hearing.
Yeah, and it's usually, again, I know I've said this before, but it's usually more obvious to people around you than it is to yourself because we play it off. We nod our heads when we really don't understand. But it's at those gatherings that you're talking about. It's when we're playing games together and we're having conversations with people that we haven't seen all year that they notice, that maybe you notice a little bit more, that you're having trouble following. They're laughing and you don't know what they're laughing about, and you feel like an outcast in those situations. And there's no reason to feel that way. It bothers me when I hear people being excluded or not being in a situation because they feel like they're not part of it because of a hearing loss.
It's part of what happens though, Tiffany, that this for most people anyway, I guess, progresses gradually so that our bodies kind of naturally adapt to new conditions so that you kind of get used to hearing only partially or reading lips, and you're not always aware of just how far it's progressed?
It is. It's such a gradual thing that happens over time. It's so gradual that people don't realize that it's them. It's not like you just wake up one day and you can't hear. And it usually affects one frequency spectrum. So people will say, I don't understand. I hear just fine. I just don't understand. Or I hear men, I don't hear women and children. And that's because, again, usually it's the higher frequency range that starts to be affected first. And so when I say that, like low frequency bass sounds are things that have vibration to them. They are very bassy. It's like a knock on the door. If we put our hands on our throat and we say the vowels O, A, E, ah, you can feel those sounds. But that frequencies that are higher in this spectrum, like a consonant S, C, H, T, F sound, those give us the distinction of words. And women's voices tend to be a higher frequency than men's, of course, and children tend to be a higher frequency than men. And also those consonant sounds are higher in frequency, so we miss those sounds. So you might find yourself hearing bow, but you don't know if it's bow or boat, or another word, and five or size, and you get lost in a conversation. So it's not the hearing all the time. You know how people will come in and say, why do I need hearing aids? I hear, I'm not deaf. And hearing aids aren't for people, well, I mean, they are for people who are deaf, but the person doesn't have to be deaf to benefit from hearing aids. It's for people who don't understand, who can't follow a conversation. That's when hearing devices become a benefit to those people to increase the quality of life.
Well, I'm guessing that having that conversation initially for some families can be difficult because you almost feel like you're judging the person you love by saying, hey, listen, we need to go and see about getting you some help for your hearing. There's just kind of this instant, no, that's not happening to me. But the truth is, it's every bit as loving and giving back to your family to pursue the help as it is to wear your seatbelt to protect you on a daily basis because you're not able to be apart.
It is. And it's no different than the conversations we have. Maybe if we notice a family member's forgetting things, like, hey, we noticed this, or maybe they are having trouble walking, and you're like, hey, you're limping. It's a hard conversation to bring up, and you really do have to love that person. They have to love you for them to accept that and to feel comfortable sometimes, with saying that. Otherwise, they feel like you are judging them or making fun of them. But I think that people really need to bring that up in a loving way, not in a joking way, not to where that person feels self-conscious. But you do need to bring it up, because it's not your decision to make to seek help. It is that person's decision. They have to be the one that says, okay, I'm ready. And so putting that bug in their ear, it takes several times before that person finally realizes, hey, I am missing out. It is a problem that I have. It is probably me and not them. People want to blame other people for their problems.
You just mumble, right?
Yeah, and I hear that all the time. If you just talk clear, I wouldn't have an issue. And so it really takes a while. That's a phase, denial, and we have denial with any health condition that we have. You have a period to where you're like, it's going to get better, or it's not my problem, it was the situation, it's that person. And so it takes a while to realize, okay, it is me. I'm having this issue in other situations, and I need to do something about it.
If we're going to be honest, we're going to all get through the month of December and enjoy the holiday season. Most of us probably are going to kick the can to January before we jump on too much of a New Year's resolution, healthcare kind of thing. But you talked before about the benefits of a baseline hearing test. Maybe is that an entry point to say, hey, honey, let's both go and get our hearing tested. Then you can measure as it changes.
It is, and I have lots of people, the recommended age for a baseline hearing test is 50, and I have lots of people who come in, and some of them have a hearing loss, but they decided that, it's not bad enough to do anything about right now, but we'll do it every year just to kind of measure how progressive it is. And some of the hearing losses stay the same, and some of them do get a little worse every year. So just to know, I have so many times people will come in and say, my hearing loss just started 6 months ago. And I know that's not the case, but they probably started recognizing it 6 months ago. So it is nice to have that baseline so that whenever someone says that, you actually know where you started from. Last year you were at this. If you have had that rapid of a change, then there may be something else going on that we need to take care of. But most of the time it is a gradual decrease over time. Okay,
real quick before, I know you have patients to go see. We're all accustomed now to seeing commercials on TV that will talk about almost like 1-800 hearing aid, where you can just call and get kind of a generic thing. But hearing you talk, it's pretty obvious that everything needs to be specific and custom to what your particular hearing need is. So don't throw your money away.
It is. I see these commercials, and if you could, I see so many patients who have wasted their money on those kinds of things, and it's sad. It's really sad how commercialized the hearing industry has become in some aspects. But yes, it is so important to have those individual settings into those hearing devices so that you can maximize the benefit that you get from actually wearing them.
I always love talking to you, so thanks for the time this morning.
Thank you, Julie.
She will happily talk to you too. You'll find her on North Ocoee Street in Cleveland, Ahlberg Audiology, 641-0956. Online, it's ahlbergaudiology.com. We're back after this.